I'm very honored this morning to welcome to our studios for the very first time on GMG Plus, Dr. Lawrence Tetteh. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good to see you, Ken. You look good.
Thank you, sir. You look awesome too. Your white beard is iconic.
When I grow, I want to be like you.
I have always wanted to be like you, so I'm happy we are together now.
That's right.
You're very passionate about the youth in our country. What is your assessment of the mindset of the Ghanaian youth today?
I think that we are doing well, but we still have room for improvement. Most of our youth are doing well. I have the privilege of serving on some university boards, and sometimes scholarship schemes and things. I sit on the interviews and things, and I think that we still have a lot of room to improve.
Do you think that youth development and empowerment has been left to the Western media, or mostly to Westernization in Ghana?
I think it's rightly so. We seem to have looked at a lot of things from the Western world, but have not been able to customize things to our need. We have a cultural setting, we have a traditional setting, we have an upbringing, and we should be able to handle things in such a way that will harness our community. And so I think we have a lot of work to do.
We have a lot of work to do.
We do have a lot of work.
So the West is raising our youth for us.
Which is quite dangerous. I've had a chance to study in Europe. In fact, I left Ghana at the age of 23.
Okay.
And I was a young man. I studied in the Budapest University of Economic Sciences. I read economics.
Yes.
And then also came to the London School of Economics to study. So I've lived in Europe for the greater part of my life, since the mid-80s. And as a matter of fact, if we look back, certain cultures we are picking up today, we are abusing it. A few days ago was Valentine's Day. Most of our youth don't just understand Valentine. I was invited to a program.
This was a big discussion over here. I want to hear your own perspectives.
They don't understand the whole essence of Valentine. And I think it's abused and it's misused, and we are reading from Western culture, and our approach is different. We have a tradition in Ghana. We have a setting in Ghana. We have even the way we relate to the elderly. When we were young, when you sit in the bus and an elderly person is standing, you get up for the elderly person.
Yes.
When you see a pregnant person, you get up for them. There's a courtesy we have. We have courtesy for boys and girls. We seem to be missing it out because we don't have a lot of places that encourages and empowers the youth.
Wow. Would one of those places be youth empowerment centers? Yes. or gatherings where the youth can mature? How important are these centers to the growth and development of the youth? Because many people will think of this as, why is Lawrence Tetteh asking for a park where youth can gather? What would they do over there?
You know, give me a typical example. We went to secondary school in Ghana.
Yes.
The northness, the southness, the central region people, both Christians and Muslims, were in the same dormitory. We developed a culture. We even develop a culture to respect each other's religion, each other's approaches, for each other's culture. I mean, the way the Northerner speaks English is not the same way the Ewe person speaks English, or the same way the Ghana person speaks English, but we try to merge it. That is the sort of thing I'm looking at, where we can get into a youth community where we understand ourselves. Sometimes the youth programs that we organize, people come who don't even understand the youth. My children will certainly not dress the way I dress. My children will not like to wear the kind of shoes I wear. Yeah. But I have to understand them, so we draw a point of convergence. We meet halfway.
Okay.
And that is what, because things are changing. When I was much younger, I used to be bushy hair.
You had an afro?
It was very important for me, man. I was an afro until 29 years ago when I had my wedding.
Oh, wow.
It was on my wedding day that I lost my afro.
Hair?
Because my brothers schemed, they wanted to give me a treat for a good haircut, and that is how I ended. And from that day, I changed.
You didn't cut it because of your wife?
No, not at all. In fact, she didn't even have a clue. She liked it. She liked the bushy hair. So we should be able to educate people and then also get ourselves informed. Youth programs for me are very, very important because all of us, we grow. Trust me, King, in 10 years to come, Your approach to life will change. Your hairstyle will change. Your beard size will change. Even the dress, kind of dresses and attires you wear will change. And that's why we need to be properly educated so that there is a succession plan. What we are doing now, we are trying an error, and it's not good. We should get people trained properly so that our youth, because remember, in every nation, in every community, the strength of the community is how the youth is managed. Because we are the future, the youth are the future leaders. I mean, 20 years ago, we were young men. Today, we are the ones who are called into programs like this. So we should be prepared and inculcate a culture and a tradition that will make us become useful to our society and our community. And remember, without a very good and informed youth today, Ghana is doomed.
Yeah,
How old is former President Kufuor? How old is former President Rawlings? How old is former President Mahama? And certainly how old today is President Nana Addo?
70.
So give them 20 years from today, even if they are still alive, they will not be as active as they've been. So we need to groom their sons, their daughters, to be able to take over. And it must be inculcated into them discipline, the fear of God, knowledge, power, and education.
Absolutely. You have been very accepting of the youth and everyone, even people that the world thought that or they were worldly people and make worldly music.
That's
you have always been open arms and accepting to everyone. How important is this acceptance for the ultimate growth of the youth?
King, everybody has a place. A gentleman who just spoke before me now is called size 2 or something. He's looking at me now, size 2. I just like him.
Yeah.
I like size 2. You have to encourage this young man to even be able to encourage certain people who are not privileged, who seemingly have his kind of height, his kind of demeanor. This is encouragement. For me, I would doff my heart down for Metro TV to have embraced him, and even the way he spoke. He's going back today with confidence,
yes.
knowing that somebody accepts him. And for me, that is how I accepted the likes of Ebony Reigns, the likes of Sonny Badu, the likes of Shatta Wale and others. They need to be first and foremost be accepted. And that's why I said that sometimes when we continue to condemn people, we're never able to get them. You don't want to know what happened to me my first encounter with Shatta Wale.
I would like to hear the story.
Where the person the thing is inside. I said, Shatta, why did you brief the thing to me like that? So I was just doing it in the car. You know, you need to accept the person to even be able to speak into his life.
Okay.
And everybody wants acceptance. Even animals want to be accepted. So we need to speak into people's life. And you'll be surprised, because of the acceptance I give to them, I'm able to correct them. If Ebony had not died, I would have changed her approach to ministry. I would have changed her dress code. I would have changed certain things. Because everybody wants acceptance, and that is what we seem to be ignoring now. The youth centers, the youth programs, and all those things that encourages our up-and-coming leaders must be things that we should enhance. We all cannot do the same thing. And don't let's lose sight of certain things. I was privileged to go through secondary school, ended up in Europe on scholarship, ended up in a London School of Economics on scholarship. How many people will be privileged like that?
Yes.
That does not mean I should look down on people who did not have the privilege I had. I sit here today, I'm a preacher by calling.
A preacher by calling. In fact, you say it's not something you're supposed to do.
No, not because I went to a Bible school. I've never been to Bible school. In fact, anytime I've been to any Bible school, I'm going to the Bible school to lecture. So I've never gone to a Bible school to go and study to become a priest. I studied to become an economist and an international relations aspirant. As a matter of fact, my degrees and my titles are in economics and international relations. So what I preach in the gospel now is a calling I had. I read the Bible at home and read the Bible in the night and read the Bible in church, but not that I've been to any Bible school to go and study. So we all have our places. And you'll be surprised, we can groom a very good leadership in the area of music. Let me give you one person here that I really love. Obo.
Obo, President Obo.
I just love him. I just love Obo. Obo is somebody who comes home, we eat together. I love Obo, and he respects. I love Obo. Obo respects so much. And last time I was talking to him, and I told him that he can be a very good politician. And why did I say that to him? I believe that if Obo becomes a politician, you can have a discipline that will go on. Obo is educated. He speaks very good English. He carries himself very well. He has this Rastafarian thing, which is not ugly and dirty. Because I can tell you, I've been to Jamaica several times, and there are Rastafarians who are proper Christians and preachers.
Okay.
Oh yes, big time preachers.
Okay.
Our friends who are Rastafarians. So you speak to Obo, and Obo is very respectful. Obo is very cultured. When we're having Ebony's funeral, almost every argument and issues that came up, all I needed to do was to call Obo, and he'll be there. He comes, he's organized, he's put points together, he's written, ask him questions, sometimes attack him. Why have you not been so, Papa? You've not checked through your WhatsApp. By the time I checked through my WhatsApp, he sent me the information I wanted. This is somebody you can pick to become a youth leader.
So there's a lot to do in the aspect of music.
Yes, and we cannot ignore the music industry at all. Entertainment industry. It is because we have not been able to educate our youth. That is why people don't seem to understand the benefits of getting into the music industry. But we need everybody. We need a presenter like you. We need somebody who sings music. We need somebody who will be in entertainment area. In fact, in Europe, where I have lived since the mid-80s, we have comedians who are very educated, properly educated comedians. That when they stand before the presidency, they stand before the prime minister, they stand before the elites, there's an approach they come with their comedy that can attract the people. Look at some of these comedians we are getting from Nigeria today. They get themselves so informed about scriptures that when they even come to the churches, they can give you comedies that are biblically based, that you sit down and they are not being profane, and yes, you laugh your heart out.
Is amazing.
So this is how we must educate our people. I have a saying that righteousness exalts a nation.
Righteousness exalts a nation.
When the righteous rule, the people rejoice.
When the righteous rule, the people rejoice. Let's talk about a man who did for you what you're doing for the youth today. Kofi Annan.
Oh.
What's the relationship between Kofi Annan?
He was a mentor. Kofi Annan was somebody that I loved from my childhood. I had the privilege of knowing his family, and then also I was privileged to know him as a UN aspirant. In the late 70s and the early 80s, I served as the regional PRO of the United Nations Association, the UNA, in Ghana. And one of the persons who fascinated me was Kofi Annan. So I had to even read international relations because of him. He recommended. You know, I did economics, and when I had to specialize, I asked him, how can I work with the UN? He laughed and said, I have a gift of languages. I speak many languages. People don't know this.
Oh, you?
Yes.
How many?
I do. I speak 15 languages. I'm multilingual. In fact,
15 languages.
Most people wonder how I ended up speaking Hungarian language. Hungarian language is said to be the third most difficult language in the world.
You lived in Budapest.
Yes, in Budapest.
And so within those years, you absorbed the language.
And once you get to speak Hungarian language, the Hungarian language, which has no family roots, speaking other languages becomes easy. In fact, language like Vietnam. I just woke up one day, I had classmates who were Vietnamese, and they used to gossip about us, and then I pick it. The first were Toyo, Anyuem, Toyo, Menyam, Toyo. And by the time you realize, you started speaking the language. So you pick here and there. A language like the Lingala language.
So how many of these languages, can you give us some of these languages? Obviously English, French, Spanish?
A little of Spanish, a little of Portuguese. So Vietnamese, conversation, Portuguese. So you can make conversation in languages. Okay. I'll give you an instance. I went to Congo in the early 20s, and then the Congolese were saying in Zambia, DRC. Both Congo, DRC. It's just a river. The river is only the river that River Congo divides Congo, Brazzaville, and Go Kinshasa. And I noticed that they were singing a song, Zaminangana, 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 Pelewa, Zaminangana, na Pewa. I said, I've heard this song before in Ghana. The soldiers begin to used to sing it. So what is the meaning? The meaning is that my God will take me through. My God will support me. My God will protect me. My God will guide me. In Zambi, the word is Zaminangai, my God. Now, in 1963, when the soldiers went to defend Patrice Lumumba, those were the morale song they sang when they were going to the battlefield. So I took interest in it. And I heard words like nyama nyama, that's bad, filthy. As I've heard the soldiers said before. I heard words like sako lakose. Sako lakose means preach on, prophesy.
Oh, wow.
So by the time I heard words like libela na libela na libela, I said, okay.
Sakola Kosi.
Sakola. So Sakola means preach or prophesy. Shenkom, say something about yourself.
Wow.
So then straight away I started putting words together. In less than 6 months, I was speaking Lingala language. Today, by the grace of God, I can preach in Lingala language. And this is what I keep saying, that as a youth, or young people, your brains, your intellect, your approach to things are very flexible, so you can build a culture that can help you. Today, some of those languages I'm saying, I might not necessarily be so fluent in it, but I can make basic conversations in it, that if you speak Lingala and I meet you today, you'll be very happy I've met you. And languages even help. Today, we have a problem in Ghana. We are surrounded by Francophone countries.
I will not take French seriously.
To the west is Abidjan, which is La Côte d'Ivoire. To the east is Togo.
To the north, Burkina Faso.
To the north is Burkina Faso. And yes, we never took advantage of the French language. Today, if somebody asks you Kometa Petu, you don't know. Somebody asks you Pokwa, you don't know. And this is what is not helping us at all as a youth to develop, because in order for us to even develop our capacity, we must be knowledgeable.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lawrence Tetteh. We could have talked for the next. I wanted to ask you how you take all these criticisms that come to you as a result of mingling with the so-called worldly stars.
God does not judge you because of somebody's opinion about you. If people's opinion about us matters, we'll not be where we are today. So the most important thing is for us to stay focused. A lot of people concentrate and get themselves worried about the criticism. Trust me, anybody who criticizes you doesn't like you, doesn't go on. Anybody who criticizes you positively and is prepared to help your life, that's important. So I have a policy. God does not judge me because of somebody's opinion about me. All I need to do is to stay focused. And trust me, most of you out there, the youth, begin to read, begin to learn, begin to develop yourself. Do you want to be a leader? If you want to be a leader, inform yourself. I sit here today, and I don't think I'll ever be hungry in my life until I die. I don't think my children will be hungry. Because after you've been informed, you leave a legacy, you leave a succession plan. And that is why I think that we should consider on the youth.
I like us to end the interview this way. When we walk with the Lord
in the light of his word, what a glory he shines on our way. While we do his good will, he abides with us still, and with all who will trust and obey. Trust and obey, for there's no other way.
Where's Jackie? Come and get some of these blessings.
In Jesus, but to trust and obey. Father, I pray for Ghana. I pray for our leaders. I pray for our youth. I pray for one of them should become great leaders.
Amen.
And I pray that all of us should be blessed in our own diverse ways, that we'll see the glory of God. I pray that today, tomorrow, and the rest of the years, we will be raised up to see a better Ghana. In Jesus' name, amen.